Before Marvel had a shared universe, it had a problem. Its biggest characters were stuck. If you were part of a team, you stayed part of that team. Not because it made narrative sense, but because Marvel didn't yet know how to let characters breathe on their own. Strange Tales issue 101 matters because it's one of the first times Marvel tests a risky idea. What if a Fantastic Four member could exist outside of the Fantastic Four without breaking the team? This issue isn't a Human Torch classic, but it is a Marvel experiment worth mentioning. Strange Tales 101 comes out in 1962, early in Marvel's Silver Age. At this point, the Fantastic Four is the flagship book for Marvel, and Johnny Storm is popular, but he's boxed in by the team format. Marvel wants more content, more characters, with more flexibility. But they don't want to fracture the Fantastic Four. So instead of giving Johnny a solo title, they give him something safer, an anthology feature. You see, the Silver Age of Marvel was largely defined by anthology series that started out as Twilight Zone-esque books of short stories that mostly didn't feature superhero content. They were mostly horror and sci-fi thrillers. However, Marvel would soon begin to add superhero stories into these books, which positively affected the book's popularity, as well as created an avenue to experiment with new characters. Some of Marvel's biggest names, like Iron Man and Spider-Man, debuted in these anthology books. Adding Human Torch to Strange Tales broke from this formula because Marvel was using a character that already existed to elevate a series. And Marvel learns to lean on this pattern heavily as time passes. Strange Tales 101 exists to answer one question: can a team character carry a story without the team? This issue promises one thing: the Human Torch on a solo adventure. You expect a unique tone as Johnny discovers his independence and a clear identity outside of the Fantastic Four. And in reality, Johnny is free, but not fully. He's still defined by his impulsive youth and by being less serious than Reed or Ben. And that's intentional. Marvel isn't elevating Johnny here. They're elevating the book by testing Johnny's ceiling. The first thing I wanted to highlight in this issue is Johnny's capability. This is subtle but important. Johnny makes decisions without Reed. He solves problems without Ben. He's reckless, but he is capable. And this matters because Marvel is realizing that characters don't lose value when separated from their teams, and that's a huge conceptual shift. The second thing is the tone shift. The Human Torch stories are significantly more lighthearted than the Fantastic Four stories of this time. The stakes are smaller, but they're still impactful. This matters because Marvel is learning that tone can be character specific instead of line wide. And this idea becomes essential later. And finally, the absence of the Fantastic Four. More specifically, the way it's handled. The Fantastic Four aren't gone, they're just unnecessary. And that matters because it shows that the team doesn't collapse just because one member isn't centered. And that's the quiet breakthrough. See, at the start of this issue, Johnny's still looked at as the hot-headed kid brother that's used for comic relief. He's got power, but no direction. And by the end, he's still impulsive and immature, sure, but he's proven functional on his own. Once again, Marvel isn't redefining Johnny here. They're validating him. And that's enough. The final verdict: context only. This issue is skippable, but the context is important to the continuity. This isn't a must-read Human Torch story by any means, but it is a must-understand Marvel moment. This issue proves Marvel's learning how to scale its universe without tearing it apart. Strange Tales 101 isn't about the Human Torch leaving the Fantastic Four. It's about Marvel realizing that characters can exist beyond their original containers. So tune in next time as we keep moving through Marvel's continuity, and we'll see how this experiment evolves and which characters benefit most from it. We at Story Mode Gaming are not affiliated with Marvel or Disney in any way. We do not own any of the content that is discussed or displayed in this video. Please support the official release.